Put down that camera and strap in. It's time for a new episode of TogChat Live. Get ready for 60 minutes of wall-to-wall photography, including photo news, tips, and your photography questions in real time, with answers from your host, Olympus Visionary Joe Edelman.
Hey, that's me. How's everybody doing tonight? Thank you for joining me for another live episode of TogChat. I'm your host, Joe Edelman. And for the next 90 minutes, I'm going to do my best to help you develop a better understanding of the hows and whys behind great photography. As always, gang, please do me a solid. Let your photography friends know that we are streaming live on YouTube right now. You can hit that share button right down there underneath the video, or you can go ahead and you can share the link tog.chat/live. And I'm going to put it here in the chat window for you so that you have it. There you go. And of course, please, a lot of you have already started. I know all my regulars. Check in. Let me know you're here. Let me know where you're from. It is awesome to see photographers here from all over the world. Luigi's here from Italy. Carl's here from Illinois. I've got Nick here from Maryland. Let's see where else. I got a bunch here. Ken's here from Cheshire in the UK. Again, awesome. Jason in Colorado. Kevin, Missouri. Thank you all for spending a Wednesday evening with me to talk about what else? Photography. So, start posting your questions. I've got a couple in the queue, not a lot. That means we have a lot of opportunity to talk about things. And come on, seriously, like, I'm not that entertaining. So if you're here, I have to assume that you are still trying to learn or improve your photography. So how can I help? What can I talk about? What information can we at least get you pointed in the right direction to develop a better understanding of how to improve what you're doing? Let's do some problem solving tonight, right? Those are the best talk chats for me. So let's go ahead and dig in. Just a couple quick notes. So let me remember to tell you this piece now, just in case I forget to tell you at the end of the night. Next week, so you ready? Don't hate me. I'm taking a week off. Yeah, I'm going on a short 4-day vacation with my wife for the first time actually in quite a long time, because I'm off to Michigan this weekend. I leave tomorrow. I'm going to be in, not Grand Rapids. I fly into Grand Rapids. I'm going to be in Holland, Michigan for the Southwest Michigan Camera Club Council annual event. So that's Friday, Saturday, and it also goes on Sunday, but I'll be flying out like 5:30 a.m. on Sunday. Coming home for a day and a half and then headed out to Vegas for a couple of days. Little known fact, since you guys always like to ask me about me and my personal life, my wife and I were both married in Vegas. In fact, I got married in the same wedding chapel as Britney Spears. And the good part is, mine lasted a lot longer. So anyway, there will be no Tog Chat next week. And also for those of you that are Tog Knowledge folks, there will be no Zoom chat this week or next week. I'm going to make it go 2 whole weeks without me. But we'll be back after that. Everything will be on schedule and good to go. Okay. So that being said, also, I don't want you guys to forget that I have a couple of workshops coming up here in Allentown, okay? 2-day, full weekend workshops. The first one is September 21st and 22nd. I just put the link in the chat window there for you. It is a small group workshop, so only 7 photographers can attend. It's all about studio lighting and portraiture. This is an intensive 2 solid days of learning how to manipulate light, how to shoot portraits, how to really refine your technique. And then in October, if you're feeling like you got that stuff down and you don't need a refresher, in October, I'm doing another 2-day event. This one's on the 12th and the 13th. This is a 2-day fashion portrait experience. This is nothing like any other workshop that you have ever seen or ever attended. Yes, you're going to learn from me. Yes, I'm going to have my makeup artist here. I'm going to have models here. I'm going to show you how I do my fashion portraits. But if you've been paying attention, you've seen me do it in videos. You may have seen me do it in person as I travel the country. What's really different about this 2-day workshop, also small group, 7 people, you will go home with images for your portfolio that are unique to you and you only, meaning other photographers will not be shooting the setups that you do. And you will be put in a position during those 2 days with me as your mentor and assistant, and with the rest of the attendees as your assistant team, you will be creating your own unique shots while at this workshop. So very, very different. Make sure you read the details. If you have questions, obviously you can reach out. There are links there to be able to ask questions, and the registration links are there. There's an early bird discount, runs out soon. So if you're thinking about it, get it in there, okay? Bob Mock, did you hear Vegas? You did hear Vegas. I'm not teaching, sorry. I'm coming out to Vegas for 3 days, just honestly to chill and unwind. I've had a couple of weeks with no traveling. I've had a month and a half with no traveling and no teaching other than here on TogChat. And I've been ramping up my video work for the fall, and starting this weekend, I pretty much start running for the next 3.5, 4 months straight, traveling, teaching. I'm going to be, let's see, so this weekend's Michigan. August 9th and 10th, I'll be in Austin, Texas. Then I'm off to Charlotte, North Carolina. Then I've got a talk, let's see, well, I'll be at Photo Plus in New York, and I'm doing a full day fashion, street photography fashion walk in Times Square in New York City in mid-September. I've got a trip out to Everett, Washington coming up, bunch. So it's like nonstop travel. So I'm taking a couple days and just gonna chill, have some fun. Already picked up a couple good tickets to a few shows, and looking forward to it. So may make a quick stop out to B&C Camera just to say hi to those folks. Heard a lot about them, never been there, but yeah, that's pretty much it. So nothing exciting other than just a little bit of R&R. So, all right, that being said, I've got a couple questions in the queue. There's a couple good ones that I've seen come through here already, okay? But seriously, type, what do you guys want to talk about? All right, so first one that I got tonight. This one came from Burl, and if I can get it up on the screen here, that would be tremendously helpful, wouldn't it? Let's start there. All right, there it is. Okay, Brill Thomas, do I ever use MagMod in the studio? Fact is, yeah, actually I do. And I have been doing a couple shoots recently so that I can show you how you can use MagMod in the studio. But let me just switch back here really kind of quick to my YouTube channel. And let's see here. Bear with me 1 second. I will find the video for you and I'll get you the link because I'm just that nice. If you take a quick peek at, or maybe I'm not going to give you the link. Where is the video I'm looking for? There is a video that I've put up where I've already like shown one of the ways that I use MagMod in this. Oh, there it is. MagMod in the studio. And so let me grab that. So I will tell you this, bro. I don't use MagModding kind of the traditional ways in the studio as far as their modifiers are concerned. I kind of hack the process a little bit, shall we say. You'll see in that video where I took the mag bounce, flipped it upside down, and put light through it. A couple of the images that you've seen from me over the course of last week or last 2 weeks on social media were done the same way. And of course, if you look close, like even, whoops, this side over my shoulder, oh my goodness, over my shoulder right there, you'll notice like all my 8200s have the mag grips, and I use MagMod gels. I highly recommend all that stuff. I mean, it's so simple. When I am creating and I want color, the MagMod stuff allows me just, open up the wallet and, I've got one set of colors there, the other set of colors there, and I have like 4 of every color. So, I am a freak about color. But then, these fold up, and I have a duplicate set of all of this that actually travels with me, goes in my travel kits, so that when I go out and I do my workshops and that kind of stuff, that goes along. So, I'm a big fan of the MagMod stuff. The only thing I'm not thrilled with, and they hate when I say this, but the new MagMod softbox is really cool. It's well designed, really, really nice. The grip that they've made, all that kind of stuff, really, really good. It's just really pricey, period. And the mag grips, They're not called mag grips, or are they called mag grips? The ones with the button where you can, tilt. They're kind of, I really like on one hand, but for my use, especially traveling, they're a little bit big, also a little bit pricier, like 50 or 60 bucks. But in terms of like their color stuff and using the magnets for grips and that, absolutely outstanding. Love it, love it, love it. So I'm definitely a big fan, okay? From Ajax. Ajax wants to know, how do you manage being tagged on Facebook? Is there a statement or a conversation you have with your subject prior to them receiving image files from you? So full disclosure, Ajax is one of the members of my Tog Knowledge community. And by the way, just a little plug here. Let me switch over. If you don't know what Tog Knowledge is, okay, this is the front page of Tog Knowledge, okay? And basically what Tog Knowledge is a learning community. Some of you may remember I used to have a profile and a platform at Patreon and had quite a few people in there. We do weekly Zoom meetings and that kind of stuff. The problem with Patreon is they are making a lot of changes with their platform. And I mean, good for them. They're growing. Any company like that, understand they start out and they build those platforms with lots of investments. Some it's, angel investments, some it's venture capitals. But eventually, the people come calling and they want to see their investment coming back to them, right? That's just how it works. So, Patreon's at a point where they've got to start, generating some actual revenue. So they're creating situations where the creators don't get quite as much from the platform as they used to financially. And in order to access some of the better features of the platform, you have to give up more of your revenue. So I decided, you know what, I love the concept, but I'm not giving them all the money that I'm busting my butt to make. So I set up my own program. And it's cheap, gang. It's really cheap. $2 a month, $5 a month, $10 a month, or $25 a month, okay? So keep in mind, I'm even gonna forget the YouTube fan level. All the action starts at $5 a month. $5 a month, gang. So that is $70 a year. Like, that's less than buying Starbucks coffee on a daily basis, right? A lot less, okay? But obviously, you get to connect with all the members. That's the fun stuff. There is a members-only Tog Knowledge discussion forum. You're able to download my always updated social media image size spreadsheet so that anytime a social media platform changes their image requirements, it's updated so you have that information at your fingertips. Discounts that I have from lots of the companies that sponsor me, as well as a lot of the photo retailers. Discounts on my 2-day workshops that I just told you about. You can save yourself up to 20% depending on which membership level. Discounts on Tog Swag, where you can get all of your Joe Edelman merch and swag. Discounts on the one-on-one consultations. For the community level and up, you get to participate in our weekly, every Friday, Zoom chats, where basically via video chat, we all get together and we talk and we chat and we solve problems. So it's kind of like a more detailed, friendly version of TogChat, because you get to see me, I get to see you. It also has technology where I can share my screen and we can really solve some issues, okay? You get to download my Satellite 3D files, as well as lots of other things that I put up there, including like a template for making your Facebook timeline covers so that they look great both on a desktop and mobile, all kind of good stuff. So that's what Tog Knowledge is, in case you were wondering. So back to Ajax's question, all right? Bear with me one second here. I just want to turn that off. So his question was, how do you deal with being tagged? Is there something you say to your clients so that they don't tag you all the time? And what he added to this, which was not in the question that he typed, was that he generally picks like one image from a shoot, which, by the way, is not a bad idea. But he's sending more than one image to the clients. So they post, if he sends them 15 images, they're posting all 15 images and they tag him in all 15. But he's smart enough to realize that out of those 15, there's really only one that is the best shot, right? So that's all he shares. Well, so Ajax, this is a double-edged sword, man, right? So the first thing is, number one, why are you giving them 15? If there's only one best shot, give them the best shot. Especially if you're doing a trade. So let's be clear, right, guys? A trade is a trade, but it's only a functional trade, and this is one of the things where the model-photographer relationship goes sour, because photographers suck at communicating and dealing with details. Before your model gets in her car to drive to your studio, you should have, you better have, you must have a conversation, maybe by phone, because people still use phones, or at least by email, or God forbid, at least text, or hell, even Snapchat. But if you're going to Snapchat it, screenshot it so you have a record of it. Have a conversation about what you get and what they get, about what you can do with the pictures and about what they can do with the pictures, about how long it's going to take you to do it so that they know when are they going to get it, so that they're not being a pain in your butt before that date. And if you're late, then they have every right to be a pain in your butt. Talk about those things. Set the expectations. If you don't set expectations, you deserve to have problems. So many photographers get into it. It's like, man, it's like I'm a rock star, you know, it's like, let's just show up and be creative and it'll be cool and it's fun, you know, and like, yeah. And then they have all kind of issues. People are pissed off at them. They're complaining about this. It's like, well, duh. Do you really think that any successful business is being run with that kind of, yeah, man, it's cool, like let's have some fun and be creative attitude? Like really? What successful business is being run that way? It's not. That's the point. Okay? So yeah, I mean, Ajax is real simple. You discuss that stuff up front. Number one, don't give them so many images. That's the easiest thing to do. Number two, if you're going to insist on giving them multiples like that, I would tell them straight up, it's like, hey, listen, I only want to be tagged in one image, this one, right? Now, if you just say that to a girl, she's going to think you're a nut job, right? Why wouldn't she? So explain it. Explain why. Tell them, you know what? I only like to show off one image from everything I do. So, you know, listen, you can do with these whatever you want. Have fun. Knock yourself out. I had a blast working with you, and I'm thrilled that you loved them. But do me a favor, only tag me in this one image. So that's option one, right? For me, the things that I make very clear to my models when I've done a trade, especially, and I give them the image, is like, number one, never, ever, ever, ever edit one of my images. And I go on to explain why. I don't just say, you can't do this. No. I will say, never, ever, ever, ever edit one of my images. And then I will explain to them, because most of the apps you use on your phone will start to degrade and destroy the image. If the image is saved too large when you load it up to Facebook, Facebook is going to resize it and or recompress it. So by the time you get done with all that, you're thinking it looks really cool this small on your phone, but it looks like crap everywhere else. No girl ever wanted her pictures to look like crap. But then that brings us to a problem. She wants to be able to resize. But I just told her she can't. So part of me getting that girl to buy in is reassuring her, hey, if you have an image and you want to crop it or reuse it, all you got to do is send me a message. Send me a message, tell me which image, give me 24 hours. I will make sure you have that image. Because let's face it, how long will it take me to resize or recrop that image? 30 seconds, right? So what's the big deal? For that 30 seconds, I gain the control of knowing that the image that is credited to me is going to continue to look amazing online. So it's all about having those discussions. I mean, literally, it's not difficult, Ajax. The key to it is not giving people a bunch of rules and certainly not complaining about them after the fact. The key is have a conversation. If somebody's doing something you don't like, talk to them, but tell them why. It's always about the why, gang. You might have noticed the kind of part of the tagline of this show, hows and whys, right? It's always about the why. If you give them that, most people are, you know, and you do it politely, most people are going to go right along and they're going to be thrilled, okay? So yeah, just have the conversation. That's the easiest way to do it. Do understand that all those tags on Facebook, you can go and you can remove all the ones that you don't want to be tagged on, but that's just a lot of work. You know, I get tagged in tons of stuff. The only time that I remove tags, so, and I get it, you may not all have this issue, but and I'm not gonna, I don't want to be accused of not being politically correct here, but it statistically happens in certain countries and certain parts of the world more than others, where photographers will routinely tag me in one of their photos. And it's their way of trying to say, hey, Joe, look at what I did. But obviously, the fact that they tagged me, it shows up on my timeline. And then people are like, what is that? Edelman took a picture of an elephant? Since when? Right? So I have that stuff blocked, number one, so that if somebody does tag me, I have to approve it being on the timeline. And if somebody does tag me in a picture of an elephant, which I mentioned that because it happened 2 days ago, truly, I will go ahead and I will remove the tag from the picture of the elephant. I'll gladly type a comment back to them and say, hey, you know, great job, whatever. But yeah, you don't tag me to get me to, you know, see something. It's kind of the equivalent of, you know, and again, this is a whole different discussion. It's the social media etiquette discussion. You know, it's kind of like when you post a picture, maybe in a Facebook group, maybe just on your timeline to say, hey, you know, this is something cool that I just did and I'm really excited about it. And the next thing you know, 3 people come behind you and they post pictures in your comment thread. Basically, they hijack your comment thread. They say, oh yeah, I got a shot just like that. Oh, I did this. And it's like, my God, could we find some more testosterone and paste it all over my post on Facebook, right? I mean, that's just rude, really rude, right? So yeah, that stuff comes down to social media etiquette, but you know, untag them if it really bothers you, Ajax. But have the conversation up front and then you don't have a problem, right? All right, next question comes from Joel, and it is, have your cameras ever had their shutters break? Do I have any stories? Is it repairable in a digital camera? So let's take that backwards. Repairable? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's going to cost you, you know, $200, $300, $500, depending on the camera, depending on the company, etc. But yeah, shutters can be repaired. Absolutely. Pretty much every aspect of a digital camera can be repaired. Stories? I have none. Why? Because I've never had a shutter break. I've been very fortunate. I mean, I do take care of my gear. I can't say that that's why I've never had a shutter break, but I'm just saying I take care of my gear. I have not had the opportunity yet with Olympus, but back in the day when I was shooting Nikon, many of my Nikon cameras went beyond the estimated shutter count for, you know, what was expected to be the life of the shutter without any issues, you know, whatsoever. I haven't reached that line yet with my Olympus cameras, but I've also not heard of anyone in the Olympus family having an issue or any kind of regular issues of that. So no. So certainly it can happen, but yeah, you can get them repaired, Joel. So, and you know, you kind of have to look at how old is the camera? When were you thinking about upgrading next? You figure if you spend $3,000 on a body and it's going to cost you $350 to replace a shutter, and that body is still viable, well, duh, replace the shutter, right? I mean, so you kind of have, it's kind of like a car, right? You kind of have to factor in all of the different elements to decide, hey, is this going to be worth it? But having a shutter break doesn't mean that your camera's trashed. Not at all, okay? All right, Steve. Steve's got some more of these meaning of life questions for me here. What is the most influential thing that you have learned in or out of photography that you wish you could pass on to other photographers? Whoa. Seriously? If I had to pick one thing, Steve, all right, I know what it is. For me, so I don't know that this is going to help a lot of people, but maybe the part B to the story will help people. The thing that I have had to learn, I don't know that maybe influential is the right answer, but I wish that I could be influential in teaching this to enough people with greater understanding. And that, and Ken Rain says respect. And well, Ken, actually, that's maybe a part C to what I'm about to say. What I'm going to say is the word patience. I am, without a doubt, the most patient, impatient person that you will ever meet. Meaning, it has been my entire life and continues to be a learned process. As part of that, so just to touch on what Ken said, because that's another great word. As part of that patience and that learning patience, respect kind of goes right behind that, in the sense that oftentimes the lack of patience manifests itself in a disrespectful way. So lack of patience has so many bad aspects to it. Lack of patience oftentimes means, we're looking for a shortcut and we don't want to put in the hard work. Lack of patience means we're making judgments without really knowing all the facts, or even just judgments based on a book cover, and oftentimes very harsh judgments and very inappropriate judgments, right? So it's like, for me, I have found that when I am able to be patient, slow myself down, take more time to consider all elements of things, I get into less trouble. I am a much nicer human being. I do show more respect. So yeah, Steve, and I think, I think the challenge is, so now I don't want to sound like I'm being judgmental towards everyone or anyone else, but I think the challenge is you have to want to be that kind of patient. Because I'm not talking the kind of patient that's just like so laid back that you never do anything. No. At the end of the day, we're judged for what do we have that's tangible? What have we accomplished? What have we done? It doesn't matter what you're thinking about. You don't get any points for what you're thinking about, gang. Please understand that. That's why I tell you guys, I love that you're here. I love that you're here. But please, if this is the only thing that you are doing photography related this week, oh my God, go away. Pick up a camera, take pictures, right? So the fact that you're thinking about photography doesn't count. The fact that you're even trying to learn photography right here, right now, doesn't count if you're not going to go pick up that camera and put it to use, right? It just doesn't. So it ultimately comes down to, what's your output? I don't care what you're doing. I don't care if you're a photographer, if you're a content creator, if you're a carpenter, landscaper, it doesn't matter what it is that you do. It's about your output, right? So the patience aspect for me just helps me do a better job of that, helps me be more aware of what I want my output to be, how much output am I really generating, is it happening, in the right places, in the right way, with the right end result. And I think that filters down into things like, respect and really many other things as well. Okay. All right. Last one that I had in from early also comes from Steve. And then we're going to jump into the wall here, gang. So if you have stuff in it that you haven't put, questions that you haven't put in the chat, go ahead and do it. So Steve Wilking, what have you learned from us, the viewers, or other photographers in this process of becoming a photo educator? Whew. Different methods of teaching, branding content, quality of content, or difficulties behind the scenes with other pro photogs. Do you often get asked for autographs, right? Not gonna lie, I'm a fanboy. Well, Steve, thank you. Fortunately, I don't get asked for autographs because my signature is like the worst chicken scratch you've ever seen. Usually like at events, like this weekend, there will probably be some people that will ask to do, like a selfie with me and that kind of stuff. And it's weird, but it's also fun and it's flattering. So if you've ever seen any of the selfies that I do with people online, or if you've ever been in one of them, you know what I do. So really the fun thing for me is now if I don't do it, people will actually stop and be like, do the thing. And then I'll do it and we take the picture and it's fun. But to go back to the bigger question, what have I learned from us, the viewers, or other photographers? I've learned that, so please let me give the whole answer, gang. Don't turn me off after the first sentence, right? I have learned that an extremely large percentage of people who want to learn photography, people who are actually passionate about learning photography and potentially becoming photographers, I have learned that they are lazy as hell. That's what I've learned. Which means that I've also learned that I have to, so bear with me, gang. It means that I have to really up my game as a teacher. And the reason I say lazy as hell, meaning that they're not willing to take something that they see in a video and go out and put it to use. and really work through it and learn from it and solve the problem. You know, gang, you can learn so much in videos and Google and books, but in photography, if you do not go and put it to use, all you have is a bunch of information shoved in your head. That does not make you a good photographer, and you will not be a good photographer, period. You just won't, right? So, you know, I've learned that teaching is much harder than I ever thought it was, because I care about what I teach. I care about the message that I try to impart on people. I care that people actually learn something from it. Again, I love what I do. I get to get on a plane tomorrow and travel halfway across the country and teach people that I've never met before who know about me. That's awesome. But for me, it's all worthless if I can't truly make an impact while I'm with those people. If I can't teach them something that is going to change their outlook, that is going to stick, that is going to help them improve their photography. So many of the videos, the YouTubers, the people that are doing videos, it's a double-edged sword. And look, I've said this many times before, so I'm repeating previous comments that are online in TogChat, so I'm not dumping on anybody, right? Obviously, there are some educators that I like more than others. There are some educators that you know frustrate the hell out of me because they do not use their talents and their knowledge in a positive way. They choose to entertain, they choose to go for the quick hits and views, they go for the money, right? And you know, that's understandable. So that's where the challenge is, in the sense that those people that I'm frustrating about, they have more subscribers, they have more views, they make more money than I do. They're not working as hard at getting out and pressing the flesh. Don't get me wrong, they're working every bit as hard as I do, but they're basically doing their videos and entertaining. Because at the end of the day, if you distill those videos down, there's not a lot of education happening. There's just not. It's phototainment. And at a core level, it annoys me. But the fact of the matter is, who am I to decide, right? I mean, it's not my decision. So yeah, for me, Steve, it's a matter of, I just feel that I have to work harder to get the message across and to prove to people that my method of learning, that the idea that you need to go pick up a camera and actually take pictures with a camera, that you need to actually fail. Come on, gang, if you're not failing, you're not learning. You're just not. That's not a meme. That's the reality of becoming a photographer. If you are not failing, you are making no progress, because that means you are playing it safe and you're being boring like a zombie photographer by going on YouTube and seeing how to use high-speed sync and taking every picture outside with high-speed sync. Boring. Absolutely boring, because obviously any moron can do it, because every idiot on YouTube does it. What's the fun of that? What is the fun of that? See, for me, I don't even get, where's the actual sense of accomplishment? Okay, well, I did the same thing 50 other people have done on YouTube. Okay. Look, I'm not the greatest photographer, but my point is, my goal is to get people to step out of their box, try things, to try and prove to people that you can be creative. But, creativity, actually learning, actually failing, practicing, hard work, requires effort. Good education, and I don't mean from the teacher standpoint, I mean from the student standpoint, folks. Good education, it's hard work. Really, really hard work. So, okay, let me jump back in here. I'm on the chat wall now, okay? So let me actually just flip this over so I'm on the right screen and I can put these up. Ken Vincent's got a question here with regards to Interfit S1 model lights. He says they come with a 60-degree reflector cone. It's basically a 7-inch reflector for us lay people. That's what I call them, okay? But it is, he's right, it's 60 degrees. Does it have any practical application in portraiture? If not, he goes on to say, what would you use it for? Ken, it's got practical applications all the way around. I mean, obviously, if you're going to use that reflector. So again, what he's talking about is, he's talking about a reflector like this. So just a 7-inch reflector, okay? There's no law, Ken, that says you can't use one of these to light a portrait. In fact, Google, that's Google, Google the name George Hurrell, Hurrel. I believe it's one L, okay? He's the guy that did all the famous Hollywood portraits back in the 20s, 30s, 40s, etc. Every one of those portraits is with direct light. And what's amazing about them, you'll notice how soft the light is in many of them with direct lights, okay? Just in reflectors or Fresnel lenses on the front, you know, those focusable lenses. So it's all a matter of style and choice. Certainly, if you want really soft lighting, Ken, you're not gonna use one of these unless you're using multiple lights that have the same kind of reflector, and so you're basically blending the light down with multiples. But yeah, I mean they're very useful. If you ever take those S1s outside and you need to use them at a fair distance from your subject, but you still want a lot of power, having that silver reflector is also going to help keep the power. And it prevents the light from spreading quite as fast. So yeah, I hate to see people categorize the idea, well, you can't do a portrait with direct flash, because yeah, you can, okay? It's more a matter of what is your taste, what is your preference, but certainly you can use them for all kinds of things, okay? All right, so let's see here, scrolling on down. Steve Wilking, man, Steve is on a tear tonight. I'm not very color coordinated. I feel like I should be making a joke there somehow. I just do. But anyway, any tips you could give to maybe work on that? Well, so actually, when video tutorials start coming out in a few weeks after my vacation, I have a video coming up on color and color choices, and because people have been asking me that a lot lately. It's like, Joe, how do you figure out all your colors? So I'm going to give you my honest answer, and then you can all hate me, but then I'm going to put on my educator hat, and I'm going to try and help you, right? My honest answer is two things. One, I always joke with people, but it's kind of a serious joke. I kind of never graduated kindergarten when it comes to colors. Go look at my pictures. I'm all about bright, bold, primary colors, right? I do a lot of that. Second, here's the part you're going to hate me for. The idea of color combinations and what works well together, it comes really natural to me. I'm sorry. I'm not bragging. I'm just being honest, because I know that a lot of you would like me to say, well, this is, step 1, step 2, step 3. So what I did, and this kind of goes back to Steve's previous question about, how do I deal with all this teaching stuff? I kind of went back to school on all this color stuff. And I've got a video that's actually going to give you a lot of really, really good information about color theory, dumbed down stuff. Dumbed down meaning we're not going to college to get a degree in it, right? It's usable pieces in color theory and the emotions behind colors. But in the meantime, I want to show you a website, and there's a bunch of websites out there like this. So you can Google, Google, Google the phrase color theory, okay? And if you do that, one of the websites that you will come up with is this one here, from a company called Canva. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the link in the chat window there for you. So what's cool about this is we can go through here and we can pick a color. So I'm going to pick like that red color there. And now if I want a complementary color, it's going to show me complementary colors. And even I can play with them a little bit. If I want something that's more monochromatic, it'll show me the monochromatic. And notice how it's doing the blends here. We'll go back to the complementary, okay? If I want something that's analogous, it's going to show me my options there. Triadic, tetradic, all there, okay? And I can start to tweak and play. And as I adjust and manipulate, you'll see how the palettes change. So if you're looking for help for how to put colors together, this is kind of a great way to be able to, work that information. If you really, really struggle with it. So I'm just going to leave that there as a start. But lots more coming, I promise, because I realize it's something that a lot of people really struggle with. And I've never really paid attention to because it came easy to me. And so that's a really non-helpful, response for you that look to me for advice. So I literally have been doing tons of reading and research. My wife has helped put me onto a lot of really, really good information For those of you that don't know, as I've explained before, she's a cognitive psychologist. So this color stuff is kind of right up her alley. So she's, put me onto a lot of really, really useful information. So stay tuned. That's coming. Okay. All right. Next question here. Let me get back to that last one from Steve. Okay. So where are we at? Scrolling down. They come in gaps here, gang. Let's see. And scroll down. Sasso Palmieri, never watched the live videos before. Can we ask questions later? You can ask questions now. Go for it. Type away, okay? That's what I am here for, okay? Per Luigi, I would love to do my workshop in Italy. Yeah, believe me, I would love to. Wouldn't mind that at all. Donald Myers in Yakima, Washington. Hey, I hope I get to see you in a couple months when I'm at Everett, if that's not too far away. I don't think it is. So, no, Sasso does have a question here. So, as a new business, how would you offer studio portrait work when you can't justify having your own? So, Sasso, I'm going to assume here, I just want to make sure that I understand the right type. Meaning, how would I sell studio portraiture if I can't justify having my own studio? Easy. Do it old school. And there are still photographers doing this and making a ton of money. You go to them. You go to them and you set up in their living room, in their family room, in their basement, in their foyer where you walk in, and you do their portraits in their home. There are quite a few photographers that I have come across in the last 2 years as I'm teaching that are still doing it old school. They go in, they do these portrait sessions, and then they go back a week later with a big framed print and proofs on paper, actual prints. And they show them to the people, and they sell framed images for above the fireplace and framed images for on the wall, etc. And they make crazy amounts of money. Now, a lot of you are thinking, oh my God, what a nightmare. Like, I don't want to have to go to their house. Excuse me. I don't want to have to set up and tear down. I definitely don't want to have to get prints made, and I don't want to have to go back. Well, the photographers that are doing it and doing it successfully, when you guys say that, they're like, yes, lazy SOBs, less competition for us. What I hear when I hear people doing, I just hear blah, 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 blah. I'm lazy. Right, you got to work, right? So if that's what you want, that's what you got to do. But seriously, Sasso, not having a studio is not a reason to not be a studio photographer, right? It all depends on what you want to do. So obviously, there are going to be certain requirements for every shoot that you go to. You're going to need a certain amount of space. You're also going to want to work with smaller, lighter equipment. You're going to need some portable backgrounds. You're going to need stands, all stuff that you can move around. So you're going to have to find some cases to be able to transport stuff in. There are definitely a set of problems to resolve, but they can be resolved. I mean, that's the key. So, but that's actually, believe me, that is a bonus for your clients. So I will tell you that the photographers that I have met that are using this business model, a couple of things, just so you put this in the back of your mind. Number one, they are not going out and selling to middle, low, and income families. They are selling to the 1%ers. They are selling to higher income families, number one, that have the disposable income, that appreciate the value of big prints and fancy frames and all those things, and who will spend the money for it. So that's the first thing. Second thing, these people learn how to sell. I'll give you a really good example. One of the photographers, and I feel really bad because I'm going to talk about something he does, and I do not remember his name, and that's horrible. I will find his name and I will share it on the next TogChat. But this is a gentleman that goes, he's up in New England where there's money, right? And he goes to people's houses and shoots, and he goes back with frame prints. So of course, everybody, and he does old school, like the old master style portraits. So not my taste, but very traditional, really, really well done, excellent quality. When he goes back, he has a big 20 by 24 print framed already. And basically what he's going to do is he's going to upsell them from that 20 by 24 to get an even bigger print to hang on the mantelpiece above the fireplace as the centerpiece to the room when you walk in. But he's still going to sell them, and that print's going to cost a couple grand, by the way. Not $200 or $400 or $500. It's a couple grand. But that print that he took with him, that he had to spend the money to have it printed, stretched on canvas, framed, all that stuff, he's going to sell on that print. And the way he does it, once they've got everything worked out for the big one, and they've taken care of some wallets and prints for the families and all that kind of stuff, what he does then is he says, you know where this picture would be perfect? This picture would be perfect upstairs in the hallway, right outside your bedroom. And during the session, put that thought on hold for a second. During the session, he also makes sure to take a couple images that are maybe a little bit more lighthearted or funny, especially if there's kids goofing around, doing something that only a parent would appreciate. So he said, going back to the frame print now, it's like, this would look great right outside your bedroom. And so would this image. And he shows them one of the goofy images right next to it. That way, every morning, when you get up and walk out of that bedroom to start your day, you see these images, they're going to tug on your heartstrings, remind you of the fun that your family had together. People buy it, spend a lot of money. So, understand it's about selling and understanding psychology. Sales is psychology. I've dropped the name before, Zig Ziglar. You can Google it, Google. That's an inside joke if you don't get it, but it's amazing how many people refuse to use Google or don't know how to use Google. If you Google the name Zig Ziglar, Ziglar, and what you want to do is you want to potentially invest in his very first book ever. So it's his oldest book. It's his first book. He is no longer with us, unfortunately, but and not to scare you away, he was a used car salesman by trade. But he wrote probably the most definitive books on how to sell. And the great part of it is, when you read this book, he's not going to tell you how to sell. He's going to tell you stories. He's going to tell you stories about his experiences, stories that are going to make you go, mind blown. So freaking obvious. Duh. Just saying, okay? So yeah, it's definitely doable though, Sasso. Totally doable. I don't care what country you're in. I don't care where you're at. The key to success as a photographer, professional photographer, making money. Do what you do to the best of your ability, because that's all you're capable of doing. And then find somebody that's going to have to pay for it, right? I mean, that's how it works, okay? A lot of people that are, good at doing what they do, they don't always do it to the best of their ability because they're not willing to work hard enough, and they're too lazy to go find the right people to buy it. It's no different than I said I'm going to Vegas next week. While I'm in Vegas, I do it every trip. It's like a pilgrimage. Every time I go to Vegas, I go to one of several galleries by Peter Lick, the guy that has sold prints for like several $1 million, right? Okay, he's a landscape and nature photographer. They're great images, don't get me wrong, but millions of dollars? Like, holy crap. I'm never going to sell a picture for millions of dollars because I'm not willing to work hard enough. I mean, honestly, that's what it comes down to. Because, yeah, his work's very good, but people aren't buying it just because his work's good. People are buying it because of everything else that he does around it. Okay, that's the key. So, all right, scrolling on down here. 11 Studio. Joe, how do you know when to use hard light or soft light when you shoot beauty? And then he goes on to say, what I know the hard light is good for clean skin. If I didn't meet the model before, how I know what to use specifically is my time, if my time is limited. Well, okay, so there's a couple things here. Let's back up to the first one, 11. So based on the theme of answers I have been giving tonight, I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm going to be honest, though. These are two examples of rather lazy questions, right? So, first of all, based on everything you just said, Like, how do you know when to use hard light or soft light when you shoot beauty? And then, what do you do if you don't get to meet the model beforehand, if your time is limited, et cetera? Then I don't think you're shooting beauty in terms of the way I define beauty, number one, because I've never met a beauty photographer worth their salt that would do what you just described. That's first and foremost. Secondly, okay, you use hard light when you want more drama, you use soft light when you don't. That's the easy solution, but there's no rule, right? There's simply no rule. Like, you ask me a question like that, how can I possibly answer that? It depends on what you want the picture to look like. It depends on how harsh your shadows you want to be, right? Those are all variables. There's no, don't let, please, don't let somebody tell you, oh, hard light, you use it for this. Soft light, you use it for this. That's putting your head in a box so that you are a zombie-tographer and not even remotely creative, period. Because the best photographers in the world that shoot beauty, you will find using hard light and soft light in similar situations, but with completely different outcomes. And that's all part of being creative. There is no rule. And the whole bit about not knowing what the model looks like beforehand, fix that problem. Nobody's holding a gun up to your head, making you pull the trigger. You're being lazy enough to accept the idea that you're not meeting the model in advance. Your studio, your photograph, your God. Literally. If the light's here, it's your decision. If the light's here, it's your decision. If the camera's here, it's your decision. If it's here, it's your decision. You're God. Nothing happens without you dictating that it happens, right? So solve that problem. It's an easy problem to solve. It requires effort. It requires work. We live in a day where you can see a picture of your model in 10 freaking seconds. Real easy. So get a picture, find out. And based on what you're describing, it sounds like you're not working with great makeup artists. Because even if the girl's got bad skin, a good makeup artist is going to help you fix most of that in camera. So yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying, but I'm not going to lie to you. You're a little lazy with the way you're describing your process. So I hope you've left out a lot of information. If you haven't, in order to elevate your game, you got to lock things down. You got to focus on the details, and you have to exert control. That's the only way you're going to get it done, right? Period. Okay, let's see. Scrolling on down here, flying monkey, a new genre, elephant portraiture. It's certainly possible. I mean, there might be something there, okay? Let's see, Perluigi, has it ever happened to you that you have a photo in mind, but you've not been able to achieve it exactly as you wanted? Yeah, like a lot. Oh yeah, I mean, literally all the time. I will say that frequently when that happens, it's my fault. And what I mean by that is, I had something in mind, but I hadn't put enough thought or enough effort into the planning. In other words, it's like, yeah, this will be cool. Yeah, I'm just gonna do this, and then, yeah, not so much. Actually, a really good example, the pictures that I posted last week with the RGB, the red, green, blue, and the shadows and everything, the same day, that same shoot, and you folks will see these images next week, the ones I'm about to talk about. I did another outfit with that young woman, who, of course, was gorgeous. It was a green, almost kind of like a prom gown that she was wearing. And I say that, she would probably be upset at me for calling it a prom gown, but part of the reason why I call it a prom gown is because that's what I made it look like, meaning not so good. In the basement of my building here, there is tons of graffiti, like entire rooms that are just painted with graffiti. Really, it's cool. So there happens to be one room in particular with one wall that is all of this green graffitied artwork. It's really, really cool. And this dress that she had was a very shiny, satiny green. And so I decided, yeah, I want to go down there and I'll do something. So I just had this loose idea in my head and I never really thought it through. It was insanely hot. This was last week. It was insanely hot. Literally, it was like 90-some degrees outside. So we were down in the basement of the building. It was still in the 80s, a lot of humidity. I did not have an assistant with me that day. It was just me. So I had to lug a lighting case, plus my camera case, and I had to set the stuff up. And by the time I was done, it looked like I took a bunch of prom photos in front of a wall full of graffiti. And that was completely on me. In my mind, it was so much better. In my mind, it was going to be so much cooler. But in retrospect, as I walked away and realized, like, dude, that was about as boring as you could possibly make a picture, I realized, yeah, it was my fault. I had this idea of like, oh, cool wall, dress matches, boom. That's not really an idea. And because of the heat and the humidity, I did not take enough time to really flush it out while we were down there, because it was uncomfortable. It was an uncomfortable day to be out of my studio where there's air conditioning, right? So yeah, I mean, Perligi, that kind of stuff happens, and you learn from it. You have to evaluate, what do? You give yourself a kick in the butt, and you go back and you do it again. And believe me, I will work that idea with that wall again, because I think the wall is cool. I think what I wound up doing with lighting was kind of neat. So in this particular case, where I think I let myself down is I should have done something really crazy from a lens standpoint and shot it like with a 7mm lens and used a lot of distortion. And instead, I'm not kidding, it wound up looking like a set of prom pictures. And by no fault of my model, she was gorgeous. It just, yeah, was really, really boring on my end. So sure, it happens, absolutely. Nobody nails it every time. Simply doesn't, okay? CL. I'm currently collaborating with a model. They have been turning around and asking other photographers to shoot my ideas. Besides not without them, with them, what should I request? Okay, I'm not understanding part of the question there, CL. But so there's a couple things that come to mind here, right? What you have to ask yourself, CL, and I can't answer this. And I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole, because this puts you in a position then of having to defend yourself on YouTube, and that's not cool, right? I don't even know who you are. So when I hear something like this, my first gut response, I will be honest about this, is that you're doing something terribly wrong. And it could be any number of things, so you're going to have to put some bandwidth to this. I mean, maybe you've got some really cool ideas, but your execution is not that good. Meaning, maybe the portfolio of images that you're showing these models is not that impressive. So they love your idea, but they're like, hey, I want to go do this. Maybe there's something about the way you're communicating with them, or not communicating with them, or making them feel that they're like, I love this idea, but I don't want to work with that guy, right? So honestly, what you got to do is you got to look at yourself, first of all, in the mirror with, honest glasses and say, am I doing something wrong? What am I doing wrong? And be willing to acknowledge that maybe I'm doing something wrong. When I say acknowledge, I don't mean tell the world. I mean tell yourself, right? Is it possible that this one particular model is just being inappropriate? Sure, that's possible, right? So, I mean, that's kind of the other piece of the questioning, is asking yourself sincerely, after you've self-evaluated, if you're really convinced it's not you, well, then take a look at her and see if it's about her, her personality. And then at the end of the day, if it's her, don't work with her. There are other pretty people. And at the end of the day, if I'm being really honest with you, CL, don't work with this girl, period. You're already in a bad situation with this girl. So move on. Just simply move on. There is no model that is going to make your career. There's a lot of models that can ruin your career. I think there's a couple people finding that out right now, right? Just saying. So just move on. Find another face, right? It's that simple. But yeah, usually when I hear stuff like that, if we can get to the nitty-gritty of it, you need to do a little bit of self-evaluation, and there's something that you're not doing that would be able to seal the deal. And it could just be as simple as, not communicating enough information, not convincing the girl that you're really serious. It could be any number of things, but that's the point, right? Okay. Next up here, let's see. Eric, as a photographer and a motorcycle rider, my concern is rattling my equipment apart, lens elements, etc. Thoughts on a way to pack to reduce that potential issue? To me, you're going to pack this stuff on the bike, just a case with a lot of foam. I mean, I know they make all kinds of, storage cases like saddlebags and that for bikes. So you want to have the stuff packed, in foam. I'm not a bike rider, a motorcycle rider, right? So I don't know, like, if it would be appropriate or functional to wear a backpack while you're on the bike, because certainly, then you're reducing the rattle and shake. But I don't think you're gonna have to worry about this stuff if you, put it in foam inserts so that it's, gonna absorb some of that vibration from the bike. I think you would be fine. Okay. But full disclosure, Eric, I don't have personal experience with that, right? So. I don't know. I don't know of any other good little tips to give you there. Okay. All right. Let's see. And Nick, man, you just did a beach shoot with an Octabox and a C-stand. That's a lot of work, dude. Let's see. Chris RH. Hey Joe, have you got any experience with manual flash guns? Dude, I am old enough. I used potato mashers, man. That's about as manual as it gets. And if you don't know what a potato masher is, you're a damn young kid. So enjoy it, okay? It's not something you use to make mashed potatoes, I promise you, all right? You're looking to get a pair for headshots. You don't need TTL or high-speed sync. Is there any particular brand that you recommend or suggest you avoid? So, two schools of thought here. So number one, Chris, if you're looking for speed lights, right? If you are super, super confident that you are never, there's the bad word, never. Every time I use the word never, it comes back to bite me in the butt, like totally. So if you're super, super confident you are never going to use studio strobes or automatic or TTL or high-speed sync, then the flashes that I would recommend, let me bring them up here. And I will show you, because yes, there is a very specific brand that I would tell you about. They are made by a company called LumaPro. I have done videos on them in the past, Chris, and obviously that's a reflector. That is not it. So let me get to the flashes here. The LumaPro 180R or the LumaPro 180. These would be the ones to go for. And on my YouTube channel, if you click the little magnifying glass, and I'll put it in the chat window here, type LumaPro. There are two videos. There's the 180 and the 180R. Whoops, copy link address. So these are strictly manual. These are the way to go for tons of reasons. I will let you guys, watch the video, Chris, to see yourself. And then let me get you the LumaPro link. If there is a chance, so now let me go back. If there's a chance that down the road, you may want to be able to have automatic features, or you may want to be able to go to studio strobes and that kind of stuff, then I would wholeheartedly encourage you to look at the Godox system, which is all that stuff you see, behind me. I'm a big fan of that, I won't lie. So that would be my other recommendation, okay? Let's see, John Cumber. What advice would you give a devastated photography student who's just been told there's no class next week? That would be pick up your damn camera and shoot something. That's what that would be. So, all right, Rob Geeson from right down the road in Easton, PA. How are you? All right, let's see here. Oh, so that's interesting. I didn't realize that. So in Adobe, you can actually put a color wheel in through the extensions. So thank you, Germano, for sharing that. Cool. So Fanta, oh, fun. This is one of my most favorite questions, and I'm being sarcastic, but let me tackle this, okay? Comes up a lot, and I realize not everybody's here every week, so it's cool. Please share some tips on rates to charge clients to shoot and edit images. You're asking the wrong question. You don't just pull a number out of thin air. You don't just make up a number. You don't say, well, everybody else is charging 25, I'll charge 20. That's the easiest way to never make any money as a photographer. I don't care if you're doing it part-time or full-time. And all of you should understand, by the way, especially you older folk, the overwhelming majority of professional photographers in today's world, overwhelming majority, professional photographers, work part-time. So for those of you that think if you're not doing it full-time and not paying all your bills with a camera, you're not professional, get over yourselves. You're a dinosaur. The world evolves. The world changes. It's okay. Just is. So, Fanta, back to your question. There's a simple equation, and obviously this is actually something that's much more detailed than me being able to do this in 90 minutes on a TogChat. So I'm going to point you in the direction of some better resources. But if we look at it from a 50,000 foot view, what you have to do is you have to start big, meaning answer one simple question. How much money do I want to make as a photographer in the next 12 months? Now don't be stupid, say, oh, $8 million, right? Be realistic. If you're doing it full-time, what is your expectation? What are your needs to survive? If you're doing it, and by the way, that's like kind of take-home needs, not gross needs. If you're doing it part-time, what do you need to make this worth your while? What do you expect, et cetera? You start with that number. Then you start to ask some smaller questions. Okay, so if let's say it's $100,000, whatever, okay? So how many months do you want to work out of the year? Are you going to work all 12? Or are you going to work 11? So you divide, and that tells you what you need to make a month. Then, how many weeks out of the year? Let's say you want to take 2 weeks vacation, so that's 50 weeks. In fact, we can forget the months. Let's just go to weeks. So if we're going to work 50 weeks, we take that number that we want to make a year, we divide it by 50, okay? Eric, thank you so much for the talk chat, or for the super chat. I appreciate it. Now you know what you need to be making a month. Then you can do it by week. Then you can break it down by day, because then you ask yourself the question, well, how many days a week do I want to work? Am I going to work 5 days a week, 7 days a week, 3 days a week, 2 days a week? That tells you how much you have to earn per day to be able to work that many weeks a year, to be able to work, or to be able to make that much a year. That's how you get down to your hourly rate. Now you know what your time is worth. Now you have to make sure that when you agree to do a shoot, like a portrait session, when you are quoting the rate for that portrait session, you have to factor in the amount of time you spend in advance consulting, the amount of time it takes you to pack up your gear, the amount of time it takes you to drive to the shoot, the amount of time it takes you to set up for the shoot, the amount of time it takes you to do the shoot, the amount of time it takes you to tear down from the shoot, the amount of time it takes you to drive home from the shoot, the amount of time it takes you to put your gear away from the shoot, the amount of time it takes you to edit through the images. That's the culling part. Don't forget to include all the trips to your microwave to reheat your tea so that you have your tea and go back and edit. Then you have to factor in how much time it's going to take you to actually retouch however many images you have agreed to do. Then you have to factor in, are you posting those proofs online? How long will it take you to upload and set them up and mail them to the client? Or are you driving back to the client's house and sitting down with them? So yeah, it may only take you an hour to take the pictures in their office, but you're going to have a lot more hours involved. Multiply that by the number that you came up with for the hourly rate. That's what you need to charge for your session. So it is actually very simple. That number is going to scare you a lot. And what you're going to realize immediately is, I need to work a hell of a lot harder. Because most of you will do that math and say, I don't have the guts to look somebody in the face and say, this is what I cost. Because you're afraid of their reaction. And the reason you don't have the guts to look somebody in the face and say that is because you know, not just you, Fanta, many of you, the reason why you don't have the guts to look somebody in the face and say, this is what I cost, is because you know you're not working hard enough and your work is not that good yet. Fix the problem. Get to work, right? So Fanta, 2 organizations that I would encourage you to join. The first one, especially if you're looking to do portraits, weddings, that kind of stuff, PPA, Professional Photographers of America. It's about $300 a year, but it's money well spent. As part of that membership, you get $15,000 worth of equipment insurance included at no additional cost. But they have tremendous educational support systems that have all kinds of information on pricing, marketing, all that kind of stuff. Another organization has a lot of great information on both the legal side of the business, contracts and all that type of stuff, as well as pricing, is geared more towards commercial photographers, and that is ASMP. It's the American Society of Media Photographers. Look into either one of those organizations. You will find a lot of really helpful stuff. And if you're out of the country or that's not practical, even look at your local community college, gang, and take a Business 101 class, right? Business 101 is going to teach you the basics of how to figure out, pricing structure and also accounting and things like that. So, and you can take classes at community colleges very inexpensively. So, okay. H&A Family Photos, Arnold. When you're thinking about your light setup for a photo shoot and you're going through your thoughts regarding how to light the subject, how do you decide when to use hard light versus soft? Oh, so that's kind of what I was talking about before. really the mood that I want, Arnold. It's all about what kind of mood am I after in the shot. So yeah, that is what I kind of said before. So Jason Page, I made a PVC and velour backdrop that I love off of your plans. For those of you that don't know what he's talking about, let me share the link with you so you can watch that video. I'm just going to grab the link here and I will paste it in. So this is basically tells you how to make your own background stand out of PVC. There we go. Okay. He would like to double the width. Is there a good way to attach two side by side so that it's not sewn but still hold taut? Jason, honestly, the challenge with that, we're talking about PVC. So you'd probably have to go with much thicker and as a result, much heavier PVC to make that work. You know, for the size that you're talking about, you'd almost be better off to start looking at a regular background stand set up with C-stands. It'd probably actually be a lot easier. Now, it's not as cheap, right? So it all depends on where your motivation is in terms of doing this. If you're looking at size and portability, then yeah, to put two of them side by side, I'd start looking at C-stands and background holders. But if you're looking at it from a price standpoint, PVC would certainly still be cheaper, but indeed you would have to go with much, much heavier PVC. And then you might want to consider, if you know somebody with a sewing machine, have them sew a hem in the top and the bottom so you can put PVC through it and then stretch it that way. So you would have to experiment a little bit. But yeah, for me, I did not want to consider it for bigger ones. That's obviously why it's the smaller width velour backgrounds and not like the 9-foot wide paper rolls because they're much heavier. So that's going to be the challenge with that one, okay? All right, Alan Kostick, what shot have you made that's your favorite? This question was asked of me about 2 years ago on TogChat. So this is like episode number 165 of TogChat. And for a while, I was doing 3 of them a week, right? But this question was asked many, many moons ago. And my answer that I gave when that question was asked is what led me to my tagline, your best shot is your next shot. So in all seriousness, Alan, like for me, it's the picture I'm going to take next. I will do a picture. I get really excited about a picture. I feel blessed when I post a picture on Instagram or Facebook and people love it and they have lots of great things to say about it. And I will allow myself to enjoy that, you know, kind of chest out for a day. It's like, okay, that's cool. I did something really good. Or, you know, when I did my TV background and people are like, oh my God, who would have thought of that? It's like, yeah, for a day, I'll walk around and enjoy that. You have to. You have to let yourself have some wins. But after that, I'm back. I suck. What can I come up with? What can I do next? And that's part of how I motivate myself. I mean, I think at the moment, so today, probably the favorite image I have kind of floating around right now, it's going to be this one. And that's only because, like, this one has, you know, it's made it onto the billboard. It's been in a bunch of magazines. It's actually going to be in a couple magazine articles that are coming out this fall in various magazines. Even the organization that ran the billboard contest is called Art Pop, which, by the way, in fact, here, I want to share this with you guys. Hang on one second here and see if I can, let me find their website really quick because this is something that I would encourage all of you guys, if you are in an area where they have Art Pop contests, I would encourage you to look into this possibility. So my image currently is on the front page of their website. They've kind of built their website around it. So this is the organization that does the billboard contests that I won to have my image on the billboard. And so they do these all across the United States. So they've got, let's see, North Carolina's done, but they've got Las Vegas. I don't know if that's done already. Columbus, Ohio, Peoria, Illinois. Here on southeastern Pennsylvania, there's a lot of them coming up. If you need to know how to prep your images, because it's a very narrow, image. There's this guy called Joe Edelman that made a video about how to do that, so you can check that out. But I think right now, Alan, that one's kind of my favorite at the moment, just because it's gotten a lot of attention and a lot of people are kind of, recognize the picture. So, I mean, that's fun. But honestly, I'm not going to lie. That's probably one of my neuroses. When I manage to post a picture and people like really dig it and really respond really well, I've taught myself to enjoy it for a day, but then after that, it's kind of like anxiety. Like, crap, what am I going to do next? Even like the TV thing, using TV as a background, I thought it was kind of a cool idea, but I didn't know how well it was going to work. I mean, I really didn't. When I bought this TV, it was like a $500 gamble that I thought, well, worst case scenario, I'll have a nice big TV for my studio, right? And it worked out really, really well. And so the response has like been amazing. And even with the RGB things, like the RGB pictures that I posted this past week, the concept of doing RGB lighting is probably 50 years old. Like literally, I didn't make that up. I've seen it before. I did my version of it, right? So yeah, it's kind of, it's cool when people really respond, because obviously that makes you feel good. So you have to enjoy that when it happens. But then for me, it's like, okay, what's next? Where am I going to go from here? So, all right. Cooley Priestley, what is a good size softbox for an 8200? That's the wrong question to ask, Cooley. Come on. It's not about the light. It's about what are you shooting? What kind of light do you want on your subject, right? If you want extra soft light, go for a bigger softbox. If you don't need it super, super soft, go for a smaller softbox. The majority of what I do, this side, I do with like a 24-inch and then sometimes a 36-inch. Those are the two sizes that I use for 99% of what I do. So that's like the size that you see up there, and then this size also. Okay, those are the two sizes that I use for the majority of what I do. Okay, but again, it really depends on how you want your light to look, right? Okay, let's see. Chris RH had a follow-up here. Thanks for the answer. The reason he's going for speed lights is for the portability of taking his kit to corporate offices. Yeah, then Chris, honestly, those LumiPros are awesome. I will say though, so let me be clear, Chris. I love the LumiPros. I did videos about them. I'm not sponsored by the company. They did give me a couple lights to test out, but then I went out and bought like $1,000 worth of them. Very, very happy with them. If I was starting fresh today with the gear that's on the market today, and I knew what I knew then, I would go with Godox. In fact, I would encourage you to, where are they at here? Look at these Godox 8200s, okay? Portable, lightweight, they work like studio strobes if you're gonna do portraiture and stuff like that. Easy to modify, rechargeable lithium batteries, which you don't get with the LumiPros. Yes, you can put rechargeable batteries in them, but then you're dealing with a whole bunch of batteries. So the Godox 8200s, Chris, I would honestly really recommend you look at those. They do have high-speed sync, they do have TTL, but they also have manual, and that's how I use them. I do everything on manual, so, okay. Jason Tucker, when or if you get burnt on model shoots or run out of creative steam, do you find a different genre of shoot or you put the camera down? Dude, if you put the camera down, you got bigger problems. People tell me all the time, Jason, so this is, I'm gonna try and avoid a rant. Not at you, Jason, but this is a psychological thing. The photography blogs are the worst purveyors of this. The photography blogs feed anxiety. Every other article is, what to do when you're feeling down. What do you do if you're in a creative rut? What do you do if you're motivated? Look, I'm sorry. If you're not motivated to pick up your damn camera, go find another hobby. Like, seriously, I'm not trying to like be a hard ass here, guys. I'm being realistic, right? I mean, look, every now and then I find myself in a creative rut, sure. But I have no thoughts about putting a camera down. If I'm in a creative rut, it just means to me like, hey, get your head out of your butt and open your eyes. Because if I open my eyes, there are great ideas everywhere just waiting to be had, right? So, for me, Jason, I'm going to assume that putting a camera down is not an option for you. And believe me, finding another genre to shoot for me, not an option. Like, I'm not getting up early enough in the morning and going outside in the freezing cold to shoot landscapes in the winter. Like, just ain't happening. Not my thing, right? They're really pretty. And I'm not really into bugs and insects. I kind of like concrete and glass. I'll own that, right? So, landscape stuff, not my thing. So that being said, I'll always be a people photographer, right? It'll have something to do with people. Now, within that realm, obviously my own career, I started as a newspaper photographer. Then I did portraits and weddings, and I was doing little leagues, and I was doing commercial advertising, and then I did fashion, and then I did models, and now I'm on YouTube teaching about photographing people. So it's always about people. I will tell you guys, be ready. For those of you that are going to see me in Michigan, you're in for a treat, because you're going to see Joe do something in Michigan that you've never seen Joe do on YouTube. Those of you that follow me on TogKnowledge, you've never seen me do it in a Zoom chat. I'm going to photograph something that you've never seen me photograph before. And over the next couple months, you're going to see me do more and more of these. It involves people, and it involves models, but that's all I'm going to say for right now. You'll see. So yeah, I mean, you got to mix it up, Jason. You got to find a way to have fun, but it's never been a problem for me to pick the camera up more than a day or two. Admittedly, I'm going to Vegas next week. I'm taking a little vacation time. And by the way, there's the reminder at the end of the show, folks, there's not going to be a TogChat next week. I'm taking a week off. I'm simply taking a week off. So I'll see you guys the following week. But I'll take cameras because I kind of, that's my thing. I'm an ambassador for a camera company, so I'll travel with them. But I can tell you honestly, most of the week, if you happen to run into me on the street in Vegas, I'll be carrying that little tough TG6, the small one. It'll be in my pocket, and I'll take pictures with it. But I'm actually looking forward to a week where I don't have to be a photographer because it's a vacation. It's just a break, and I know that it's going to bring me back and get me really excited. Oh, here, Jamie McDonald's here. Here I am. I'm talking about getting up early and doing outdoor stuff. So yeah, Friday night and or Saturday night, I'm going to go hang out with Jamie in Michigan, like on the western side of the state, sunsets and that kind of stuff. So yeah, it'll be like, for me, it's kind of like going on a safari, right? I get to see the master, Jamie McDonald, like in his real wild habitat. As long as he doesn't go near like any jetties with lighthouses, I'm cool with it because I will not wind up in the water like he does. But yeah, don't worry, Jamie. I'm on my way to Michigan, man. And by the way, gang, I'm pretty sure, Jamie, if you're still here, is there a Mirrorless Minutes tonight? I think there is. So I should know that, and I don't. Sorry. Oh, wow. Ajax and CL, man. Thank you so much for the super chats. So, but yeah, so let me really quick here. Let me find Mirrorless Minutes for you guys. For those of you that are Micro Four Thirds shooters of any brand, really. Let's see here. Yeah, so they are on tonight. So when you get done with me at 8 o'clock Eastern time, hop on over to Mirrorless Minutes and you can follow Jamie and Mike. They always show images each week, talk a little bit about how they did them, what they went through. So cool stuff, okay? All right, so let's see. Ooh, I'm running out of time, and I got a couple more questions. Let's get back here. Zavanamir, and I'm sure that I have just butchered that. I'm so sorry. Any word or recommendation about the Olympus FL700WR external flash? Are you using them in your studio or your work? Many thanks. I don't use them in the studio because I'm a Godox guy, and I was a Godox guy before they came out. I do have two of them, along with the Flash and Commander. I use them a lot when I'm out traveling for Olympus, just to show off, that they work and can be used for lots of cool stuff. I travel with one FL700WR in my backpack. So if I just randomly need a little bit of flash, I'm going to use that. They're great. They're workhorses. They're small. They're lightweight. For me, a speed light, period, can't take the place of a studio strobe. It just can't. And the big thing, the big reason it's not power, it's recycle time. I want the faster recycle times. The FL700WR actually has an amazingly fast recycle time. It's like 1.5 seconds for full charge. It's really, really quick for a speed light. But yeah, I was already heavily invested into the Godox system when Olympus came out with these. But they are. I will tell you straight up, very sweet little speed light. So if you are thinking about getting them for occasional studio type work, occasional portraiture, but you want to be able to use them for like events and just out and about, vacation, all that kind of stuff, then yeah, absolutely. I would highly recommend it in that situation. Okay. All right. Let's see here. James Wong, many award-winning images seem heavily edited. What are my thoughts? Thoughts, I know that's what you meant. Who cares? That's my thought, right? Did anybody ever look at Rembrandt and say, ooh, he used too much ink? Did they do that? Maybe they did. I don't know. But like, I've never read that, Or did anybody ever look at Picasso and say, oh my God, that composition's like horrible. It's too busy. Did anybody ever do that? Just saying. Think about that, right? So, images are heavily edited. Who gives a damn? I mean, if the contest is like for photojournalism, okay, that's a problem, right? But if it's just a photography contest, if the picture is taken with a camera, I don't care how much was done in Photoshop, it's still a picture, right? So, yeah, I don't see a problem with that at all. Okay, that's personal preference. At the end of the day, it's personal preference. But that's one of those debates. And again, I'm not going to lie. That's one of the things that bugged me. That bugged me about the some of the stuff you read on the photo blogs, right? It feeds people's anxieties. It's like, oh, well, am I doing too much? Is it right? Is it wrong? You do what you like. Do what you like. There's no rules, okay? So next up here, see if we can get through a couple of these before we're done. Let's see. And Steve Wilking. Yeah, it would be fun to listen to me and Jamie and Mike, I'm sure. No doubt about that. I have a feeling there's, Jamie's got like a posse, right? He does. He travels. This guy's, he's the dude, man. He travels like with a posse. So I'm pretty sure there's actually going to be a boatload of Olympus shooters in tow with him out there. I know that like Brian Essler, who's one of the associate editors for Photo Focus, is going to be up there. So yeah, he'll. I'm sure it would be a good time. So let's see. Scrolling down here. Germano, I'm a little tall. Sometimes when I shoot, I feel that in photos people appear too small. Any tips to avoid this without causing back problems? Knee pads. I mean, honestly, that's the best I can tell you is knee pads. Get down on your knees. Find a way, right? So I don't want to, I'm not joking, and I don't want to sound insensitive to, physical abilities either. But yeah, if at all possible, find a way that you can get down lower without causing yourself pain, without being uncomfortable. Find a way wherever possible. So let me be clear before I say this. So I have to preface this. I am extremely opposed to the idea of holding a camera out here like this, or even worse yet, wait. So holding a camera out there, okay, like this, and looking at the LCD, or even worse yet, I'm highly opposed to, doing this one with one hand in the pocket, right, just saying, okay? So that is not the way to approach it, but Germano, if that's the only way that you can get a lower camera angle, then flip out that LCD and hold the camera lower. If you're using a DSLR, time to go mirrorless. Sorry, but that would be one way to do it, right? Okay. All right. I got one more minute. What's left here? Nick, going to the family with the family in Niagara Falls with the TG6 work on the Maid of the Mist. Oh my God, yeah, TG6, man, that's freaking awesome. Like seriously, Nick, you will be for a vacation camera where you don't want to have to really, like lug gear. You would be blown away by what that TG6 does. Yeah, and in terms of like water and that kind of stuff, oh my God, yeah, highly recommend it. Make sure when you order it, because I think it's an accessory. I don't think it comes with it, but it's a cheap accessory. Get the opening and closing lens cap that goes with it. Let's see here. Let me, bear with me 1 second and I'll show you what I'm talking about here. Let me get mine out. Yeah, so you want this lens cap, whoop, there it is, okay? So that when you attach that to the camera, all you have to do, whoops, I'm going to the screen like it's there. All you got to do is twist and it opens and closes. So that's what you want to work with. But yeah, I mean, for something simple that you can like stick in your pocket and just take great pictures and have fun, it's awesome. Okay. All right. I got 2 more things here, and then we're gonna have to wrap it up, guys. Bob Mock, do you white balance or color check your cameras? If so, how often would you recommend based on a new camera? Well, it's actually got nothing to do with a new or an old camera, Bob. It's got to do with the light source that you're working with. That's where you do the white balancing. So for me, it depends on the situation that I'm photographing. White balance in pretty much every brand of camera today has come a long, long way and works amazingly well. But it's still a computer that's looking at an overall scene and evaluating it, right? So like if you got a person, like a model, and a predominantly like green background, then it's gonna mess with the color balance if you're on auto white balance. So that's a good time to do a custom white balance setting. But especially since you're working, most of us work in RAW, which hopefully you're working in RAW. The need to worry about your white balance is nothing like it used to be at all, okay? And Zvonimir, Rembrandt used to say, don't come too close to my paintings, the smell of the oils may offend your nose. He didn't like people to come up close and then dissect the technicality. So yeah, that's a follow-up to the, too much retouching question, which I completely support, and that's great, Zvonimir. I appreciate that because I may use that quote. All right, gang, so listen, you guys never cease to deliver. Thank you. Awesome questions, awesome discussion. I love it. I absolutely love it. So listen, for you Micro Four Thirds people, or if you are Olympus curious, go check out Mirrorless Minutes. It's coming up in 30 minutes, okay? I put the link back there in the chat. Scroll back and find it. Remember, next week, I'm on vacation. So if you're in Vegas, you can try and track me down. But regardless, you have 2 weeks now. 2 weeks. So I expect like a couple of hours of shooting. And I know for some of you, a couple of hours, especially like you Nikon and Canon users, a couple of hours of shooting, your backs. Take Advil before you pick up the gear. Go out the door. I know, I'm sorry, it's a lot. I'm kidding. Hey, seriously, gang, go shoot. Have some fun, all right? And I will see you in 2 weeks. Make sure you follow me on Instagram, Twitter, all that cool stuff, Facebook. I will have some social media posts while I'm gone. And some really fun stuff coming up in the month of August. So stay tuned. All right, gang, as always, whatever you do, remember these words.
Thanks for watching another live episode of TogChat. Now, pick up that camera and shoot something, because your best shot is your next shot. So keep learning, keep thinking, and keep shooting. Adios.